Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today we're going to be talking about pre and post workout nutrition. What should you have, if anything, before and after you train? It's all going to depend on the person, what time you train or work out, also kind of what your goals are in the duration of your workout. But we're going to do our best just to give you guys some tips and advice on what to have, when to have it, to hopefully help you guys with recovery and just getting better results overall, having more energy for your workouts, things like that. A lot of people come in and train with us, and after so long we find out that they might not eat anything before and after. They might feel a little bit sluggish and they aren't recovering as fast as they could. So we want to help you guys out with that. So we'll start out. Caitlin's just going to kind of go over what she does for her pre, and after we talk about pre-workout stuff, we'll talk about post-workout stuff.
Yeah, so I just want to say first, I feel like I've had so many clients who come in and, they'll come in the morning to train and they'll get nauseous during their workout or after their workout, and every single time that it's happened, I've asked them, did you eat anything this morning? And they'll say no, because they were in a rush or whatever the case was. Because a lot of times people are afraid that if they do eat before they work out, it'll make them nauseous, but it's actually the opposite of that. You need a little bit of food in your stomach before you work out so that you don't get nauseous. And Bethany can go into more of the sciencey stuff behind that. But anyways, so always eat before you work out. It kind of depends on what time I work out, on how much I eat before and what I eat before. If I'm working out right away in the morning, I do eat very lightly. You don't want a ton of food sitting in your stomach. So today we worked out at 9 o'clock, so I had just a protein bar and then my protein smoothie before I worked out. That way, with the smoothie, I'm getting a ton of nutrients in me, but it's not something super heavy that's gonna sit in my stomach and make me feel nauseous when I'm doing my Metcon portion of the workout. So that is usually what I eat if it's really early. If it's later in the day, if it's around lunchtime, I'll make sure that I have a full breakfast, whatever that is, protein, carb, and fat for my breakfast. And then sometimes I'll also have a bar or an apple an hour to a half hour before, just depending on what the workout is, what I have time for, how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling a little bit hungry or if I feel full, you kind of have to learn to listen to your body a little bit. If I'm working out after lunchtime, I'll make sure I have a full breakfast, a full lunch, and usually I can just go an hour after lunch and work out and not need to eat anymore. If I am doing my strength portion of my workout and I start to feel a little bit hungry, but don't want to eat anything right before I do my cardio part, I might mix up some carbs just to kind of help me get in a little bit more without eating anything. And then I always drink a pre-workout drink. It's probably more in my head than anything, but I feel like when I drink my pre-workout, it just kind of sets me up and lets me know that I'm getting ready to work out. It also just gives me a little caffeine boost to get through that workout. So that's pretty much it.
Mine's pretty similar. I would say, if you're working out first thing in the morning, obviously you don't want to have a huge breakfast and then go straight to the gym. I totally understand that. I do kind of the same thing as Caitlin would do. First thing, I don't work out first thing in the morning, but I still don't want to eat a huge meal when I first wake up because it's really early still. Typically 4:30, I'll make a protein smoothie that has oats and blueberries and protein powder, spinach. So I'm getting all my nutrients. It's basically a complete meal, but it's really light on the stomach. You can drink it all and you're not going to feel overly full or anything. And then usually I'll work for a few hours in the morning. And then I usually train at either 10 or 1. So I like to have another snack before I train, no matter what time I'm training, whether it's 10 or 1. I'll try to have a banana and an RX bar or a protein bar. And I'll also do kind of a light breakfast. It's just a little egg wrap. So I'll usually have that before I train, probably an hour before, I would say. That'll give me a little bit more nutrients, more carbohydrates to push me through. And then same thing as what she was saying, intra workout, I'll just kind of talk about that a little bit, while you're working out. If you're working out pretty intensely for more than an hour, which we typically are, 5 of our workouts every week are usually about 2 hours in length. So halfway through, I'll mix up some carbohydrates, just a carb powder. Most of them are called highly branched cyclic dextrin, which you don't have to know exactly what it is. It's just a carbohydrate source. Basically, you're getting instant fuel. It's utilized by the muscle right away because that is what we're using as stored carbohydrates when we work out. And after about an hour, 75% of your stored glycogen is used up. So you want to try to refuel that so that you're not breaking down muscle while you're working out. And like I said, this is only, if you're working out fairly intensely for an hour or more, to maybe even an hour and a half or longer, depending on how well you fueled up the day before or before you started your workout too. But if you're working out, 30, 45 minutes, just drink a lot of water and maybe some electrolytes. Like they have great electrolyte powders too, just to kind of get better hydration. And then if you're working out at night, typically, depending if most people get out of work and then they come straight to the gym. So it'd be before you eat dinner. So you'd want to have like a light snack at work, maybe an hour and a half before. Could be something very similar, something lighter like fruit or a protein bar with some carbs in it. Something that's easy, that's fast, just to give you a little bit more fuel for your workout. And then going into the post-workout, that's where you're going to want to get carbs and protein almost immediately after. That's another issue that we were just talking about before we started the video, was a lot of people get done with their workout and then they're waiting an hour and a half or longer before they have their breakfast or their lunch or their dinner, whenever they're working out. So I would recommend, if it's going to be an hour and a half before you eat a meal after your workout, I would recommend doing like a protein shake with carbs in it, or any kind of source of protein that's quick and easy, plus some carbs to help with that recovery. So.
Yeah, so my tips for pre-workout anyways really fits in with what you guys recommended was if it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours before, you can have a full balanced meal with your veggies, your protein, carbs, fats, just in general. And then as you get closer to the workout, you want to start decreasing the size of the meal. Once you get like below an hour closer to your workout, you want it to be more of like a shake or a small snack. So like an RX bar would be a good one because you get a little bit of protein and you have a decent amount of carbs and fats in there, and it's not going to take up a lot of space in your stomach. Because you don't want to have like a salad or something before you work out and feel like your stomach is like a balloon before going to work out. You want something that's going to still make you feel like you're still light, but you're not hungry. Like your stomach should not be growling before you work out. And I think that's a common myth, is that fasted training burns more fat, which it does, but then you end up storing more fat throughout the day as you eat your next meals. So they've done studies on that where we have people fast and train in the morning, and even though they burn more fat during the workout, they're storing more fat throughout the day. So it comes down to how many calories they're eating throughout the day rather than when they eat. So it's beneficial to have a little bit of fuel before your workout, even if it's just like 100 calories of, even if you just put it in your coffee. Like there's collagen powders, you can put some vanilla almond milk in there, there's your protein and there's your carbs, and it's right in your coffee. You don't even have to really think about eating anything. If you're like, a 5:15 fit camp person, you're coming in and you're working hard, you need a little something just to kind of make it through. You need to give your body a little bit of energy in order to perform its best. You're not going to expect a car to perform its best without giving it any gasoline on an empty tank. So you need that fuel, and then you're going to get the adaptations you want to go as hard as you possibly can, because that's how you make progress.
I will say this morning, I believe it was this morning they were talking about, it was actually a client that Bethany just started working with.
Diane.
And she said that she did a little bit of like pre-workout. It was just something, I think she had like a chocolate protein shake that had a little bit of carbohydrates in it or something like that. And she said she felt a lot better for her run. So she tried it and said that it worked a lot better. Before, she would get nervous about eating because she thought that would make her nauseous. But like what Caitlin said, as long as you're not eating a huge meal, you can usually get away with having something light like that that's easily digestible, and it's not right before your workout. I, for whatever reason, I could have 500 calories right before my workout and I'm fine. But I don't know if I just burn it off so quick or what. But depending on how most people, I would say to keep it like at least 30 minutes before, something light, or an hour before.
Yeah. Well, when it comes down to that, like you know, a smoothie is something that's great because it doesn't weigh you down a lot for your workout, but it depends on what type of training you're doing. So if you're coming in and doing the fit camp workout, you know, you're going like pretty hard for 45 minutes, you don't really have a lot of time to digest food. Whereas like for our workouts, we do a strength, and then we do an Olympic lift, and then we do some gymnastics, and then we get to our Metcon an hour later. So really, like, we don't have to have that food digested right away, so we can have our meal a little bit closer to our workouts versus some people, if they're coming to do fit camp, or if you're literally just gonna jump into a Metcon, then you wanna have that food a little bit further back. Now, if you're doing like a bodybuilding or a strength piece, you can probably eat right before and be just fine. Like, you could come in and work out on a full stomach if you're, you know, doing some sort of bodybuilding training, strength training, but when it's more cardio based, or if it's a little bit higher intensity, you don't want to have that full stomach. And that kind of comes down to a little bit of like, you want lower fiber, you want lower fats in that pre-workout meal. That's getting very into the technical parts of it, but fats and fiber slow digestion, and what we want is fast absorbing nutrients. So we want the protein and the carbs to be digested pretty quickly before we work out, so then we are able to use them for our workouts.
And that's why fruit is a great example, you know, apple or banana. Usually that's going to be a great source of instant carbohydrates. Plus you're just going to get some nutrients from that, you know, to help you. So.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
so now we're gonna go on to post-workout. So for my post-workout, I always make sure I have like a full meal. There's kind of a couple reasons for that. One, your body needs the nutrients after you just worked your butt off. Second of all, and this might be a personal thing, but for me, I used to, like, so I have to drive 20 minutes home from here. So say I get out of my workout, by the time I stretch and get my stuff together and leave to go home, it's half hour to an hour after that. And if I don't eat anything and I get home an hour later after my workout, I'm starving. So then I find myself, okay, I don't have any meals ready right now, so now I'm just gonna snack on some Cheez-Its or whatever I can find just to like hold me over until I make my meal, which is no good. That's totally defeating everything that I just did. So I have learned to always bring food with me here, even if I am going home shortly after my workout, because then I get home and I'm like, okay, now I can shower and then chill out, and then I don't have to eat for a little while later. So like this morning I worked out at 9 o'clock. I brought this little guy. It's a swell container thing, so it keeps food hot or cold. I love it because I make my protein oatmeal in the morning, put it in here, and then I can eat it 3, 4, 5 hours later and it's still warm. And if it wasn't super warm, I could warm it back up in the microwave, but it's always warm enough, so then I'm not starving by the time I get home. If it's a little bit later in the day, like if I work out at 11, I'll have something small before, and then I'll have my chicken, veggies, and rice to eat afterwards. So I'm always having a full meal just to replenish, and that so I'm not starving and eating things that I shouldn't be eating. And lots of water before and after. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah, for me, for years and years and years, I always did protein powder. And then I realized, you know, like if I was going to have a meal, protein powder isn't necessarily the best post-workout nutrition. It's because of its convenience. You know, like Caitlin said, if you're going to be an hour, hour and a half before you eat a meal, then having that instant protein powder with some carbs is going to be a great choice to do. So for a lot of people, that's why it's so convenient and so popular. So that's definitely a great choice, like 20 grams of protein. And then I would always recommend, if you're doing that higher intensity training, like fit camp, or if you're doing CrossFit, throwing in the carbohydrates in there, especially if you're like at an hour or 2 hours in length, because protein and carbs are going to be the best for recovery. But usually what I'll do is actually just have a meal right after. So I could have, you know, I'm usually trying to have like a balanced meal. So kind of like what she was saying, she's got her carbs and her protein and her fats. So I'm trying to get a balanced meal in right after. If I don't, that's when I might mix up some carbs and amino acids, or carbs and protein, just to help replenish everything that I just burnt off.
Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to a little bit of people aren't super hungry after they work out. I'm one of those people, so I opt for the protein shake with carbs, and I just kind of throw it in my shaker when I come here, and then when I get done, either I'm starting to stretch out from the workout or I'm doing the accessories. It's usually like right after the Metcon, I'll mix it up, and then I'll start sipping on it as I'm cooling down. And I do about 20 grams protein and 30 grams of carbs, just to give the body a little bit of something. And there's been an interesting study where they took eggs, like whole eggs versus egg whites, and compared them. They made sure the protein was the same, so that wasn't different. And they looked for like the muscle protein growth or muscle protein synthesis, and seeing how it affects, different sources of protein going into the muscles and how it affects your muscles growing after you work out. And it showed that when you have whole eggs, you produce more muscle growth through that. And they decided that this is because of the extra calories that was introduced with it. So instead of just having, say, 20 grams of protein from each, the whole eggs had some extra fats to give fuel for muscle protein synthesis. So the actual building of the muscle takes energy, takes calories to perform. And your body will actually start to use protein that you've eaten as the fuel to build muscle. So if you're just having a protein shake, that's fine, but just know that you're not optimizing the protein absorption. It works a little bit better with carbs. And then on the same token of that, insulin gets kind of a bad rap. With all the carbs and sugar fear that's out there, people have kind of made insulin out to be a bad thing, but it's actually really good when you're doing it post-workout, because you get that insulin spike. It helps to shut off cortisol, which obviously when you get working out, you got those heavy breathing, you're like hyperventilating, and that's a lot from the hormone cortisol, stress hormone, and having that insulin spike sets it off. And then doing that, so having that little like carb shake afterwards or some sort of fast absorbing carbs helps to kick in the recovery process, which you want to do that as fast as possible, whether that's with a whole meal, doing rice and chicken, or whether that's with a shake or with oatmeal or a smoothie. Any of that will work great, as long as it's like 45 minutes after. That's the ideal time anyways. It's okay if it's you have a little snack and then you have a full meal like an hour, 2 hours later. That's great too. Doing an RX bar or something like that, just to give your body something to start that recovery process, because the sooner you can start that, the more recovered you'll be before your next session. And then you're not going throughout the day like Caitlin said, if she waits an hour, then she's just starving and she's eating whatever is closest in sight, and probably something that's higher in carbs. That's what I've noticed, is if I don't have my post-workout shake, or if I don't eat something directly post-workout and I go shopping, I'm looking for like dried fruit or whatever is like super high in carbs, but I'm like, yes, I want this. And that's what my body's craving. It's craving those carbs because I've burned so much doing the high intensity metcons. And when it comes to just full-on recovery, whether you are doing CrossFit, you are doing going for muscle building, strength, it's okay to have the carbs and the proteins. Just equate it for the rest of your meals. If you typically have a bigger meal post-workout, it's okay to have a little smaller meal like 2 hours later, and then have that small snack post-workout. Just see how you feel, instead of going 2 hours after eating and then maybe crashing after because you've had such a big meal. Maybe just break it up a little bit and see how you feel after that.
For sure. I will say too, though, the carbs that you eat right after your workout are pretty much going to be immediately utilized. So that could be the best time for you guys to have like whatever kind of meal, carbohydrate source that you enjoy. A lot of guys that come in and work out in the gym for an hour and a half, like they'll have like gummy bears and stuff like that, like literally a candy right after to replenish the carbohydrates, because you're going to use it pretty much immediately anyways. So if there's anybody that has like a sweet tooth or anything, or if they struggle with that type of thing, like especially late at night, snacking, like maybe have that snack immediately after your workout. It's going to be the best time to utilize it right away, and not worry about storing it. So that could be just a little tip for you guys.
Yeah, because when you exercise, your muscle stores of carbohydrates or glycogen gets depleted, and then whatever meal you eat post-workout is what's going to refuel those stores. So if you do have a super high carb food afterwards, if you like gummy bears or Rice Krispie treats or whatever you want, or if you just want to put it in a shake, that's cool too. It's that insulin spike, it's the storage hormone, and it makes you store either in fat or muscle or both. And when it's going to preferentially go to your muscles when you've already depleted those stores. So it says, hey, we need to put it here because we're out. Then, obviously there's an empty spot, you're going to put it there. So you're going to have that replenishment of the carbs. So, people might think, oh, I need to push off my meal so I can burn fat longer after my workout. And that's not necessarily how it works. So just keeping that in mind is, there's a lot more that goes into it than just like burning calories in the workout. There's a lot of benefits you can get when you properly fuel before and after.
Yeah, but might as well just go over the benefits. So like we explained kind of what to do for your pre-workout and post-workout based off when you're working out, how many meals you're having, things like that. But like, why should you take this so seriously? Well, for one, you're gonna have way better workouts, just more energy in general. If you get more out of your workouts, like let's say you have more energy to do more sets or more reps or more weight, that's gonna add up over time. You can get better results from that. Plus, if you're fueling post-workout, like she just explained, having that muscle protein synthesis and actually having more muscle growth, you're going to get results faster. So we want to see you guys building muscle and not depleting muscle. Like she said too, like if you're under fueled and you're working out really hard, you actually will start to use your protein and break down muscle for fuel. So you could actually work out every single day of the week, 6 days a week, and get weaker and lose muscle if you're not fueling properly. So that's why this is so important, is because, and I like to say this all the time, like if I have under-eaten it in a day, I would rather go home and eat a meal than get my workout in. If I'm, I had no calories throughout the day, I know that workout's probably not going to be very beneficial for me if I'm running on E, which is a great analogy too. I love like using the car and being on E, having no fuel, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. So
you gotta make sure you're fueled. So
yeah, that was my choice the other day. Friday I woke up and it was an awful headache, migraine type thing. I just couldn't eat for first 3 hours that I was awake, and then I was finally able to get like a little bit of food down, and I just like was not hungry. And I, got here and I'm like, it's gonna be counterproductive if I work out right now because I'm under fueled, my energy is zapped. So it's okay some days if you just need to rest. That's when your muscle is built. Your muscle is broken down in the gym and then repaired outside of it through nutrition and sleep. So if you're not fueling right, then you're not repairing your muscle. You're just kind of recovering and either staying the same or getting worse over time. Because if you break down more muscle than you build, then over time you're going to get less muscle. You're going to get weaker, and we don't want that, obviously. So the importance of recovering from your workouts really comes down to a lot of like whether it's pre-workout, post-workout, and then combining the two, and then just general overall nutrition. But when we really break down the specifics of it, incorporating these can make a difference. Especially like if you work out early in the morning and then you go to work for the rest of the day, you don't want to be super on that cortisol drip. So if people, like you said, are waiting 2 hours to eat that meal, then it takes a long time for that cortisol hormone to come down, and they're kind of in that chronically stressed state, and it can lead to kind of issues over time hormonally. And then if you are, say, working out in the evening, having a post-workout meal with, carbs, like very fast absorbing carbs, your gummy bears or whatnot, that's going to help you almost like recover a lot faster and get into that rest and digest state which you want to be in, and start to get your body ready for sleep. Because if you work out and you're done at 8 p.m. and then you want to go to bed by 10, you're probably more of that tired and wired. Like you're mentally tired, but your body is like wired and ready to stay awake. So it really helps having that post-workout shake or meal to kind of calm down the body and get your body ready to start recovery faster than if you waited until last minute to have something to eat before bed.
Yeah, I definitely notice if I don't eat enough before my workout, I pretty much feel useless. I feel like if you don't sleep enough and you don't eat enough food, you are just exhausted. Or even if I feel like I'm starting to get tired in the afternoon, I usually just need to eat.
Yep.
And then I feel a million times better. It's crazy how much food actually just plays a role in your energy. And it's something that I didn't always pay attention to, but now that I have, it's so noticeable once you just kind of realize, okay, how do I feel before I eat and how do I feel after I eat? how do I feel if I don't eat before a workout? How do I feel if I do eat before a workout? Like if you start paying attention to those things, you'll notice a huge difference.
Yeah. And everybody kind of develops their own routine
Yeah.
based off that, but you have to try stuff in order to figure it out. It's all kind of trial and error. Everybody's got a different process, so just start trying these things out, and hopefully develop your kind of post-workout routine. If you have any questions on what to have or what to use, there's a lot of great supplements that we use for pre-workout, post-workout, and intra-workout that we talked about a little bit, that can help you with your fuel and your recovery too. So if you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. I think that's all we wanted to talk about, right? So if you haven't already, like and subscribe so you can see all of our future videos. Hopefully this helps you guys. Leave some comments or let us know how it works. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.